Like we're going back to those days. And what's going to happen is I'm going to request that in 2 weeks, we get you a price reduction to get you in this game. So the whole, let's try this for 2 weeks, some people are getting sucked into, but they're getting sucked into without some agreement that says in 2 weeks, we will do this now.
As the market changes, right? Like what I've been noticing is people actually talking more about the economic change in general. I was at a birthday party this weekend and a couple people were just talking about like recession, right? Real estate actually in natural conversations that I've noticed have actually increased, where I think now is such an interesting time to be educating yourself as an agent, right, about the current market conditions, because you have those that say the market will continue going up, you have those that say that it's going down, and then everybody's somewhere in between.
Yeah.
So how, going into this next cycle that we're entering into, how is somebody supposed to deal or adjust or adapt when, like you said, the last 24 months fish were jumping in the boat, right? It was like overwhelming. We've seen those crazy videos where all the fish are jumping in, those like Asian carp or whatever, right? Like
yeah.
It was like that. I remember, and then they got all these offers, and then when they get a buyer, it's like they don't want to work with a buyer because they show them 30 houses, make 20 offers, and none of them get accepted. So
right.
Like as we transition into this period, what are things that people should be doing?
So really important now is to understand your data in your marketplace, meaning understand what real trends are happening with list the sale prices, days on market prices, because your typical, when you do get the opportunity for that seller, well, we can talk both seller and buyer, but for that listing, their mindset is they still want top dollar here because they don't want to, and listen, no one's going to want to admit that they missed the boat a year and a half ago. And just because their neighbor 8 months ago got this, they still want this too. So we have to do a better job, because there's two things that happen with our opportunities for listings. If we come in with data and we sound like negative Nancy about it, like there's no way you're going to get that, or they're going to feel you're going against them. You're not working for them. We have to constantly show, like, I am on your team 100%, and I want to get you the most amount of money. But let's break down what reality looks like so you and I, homeowner and I, can make a smart business decision. I want to do this together. And when they say we want to get up here, let's talk about that. Don't say you'll never get it. Let's talk about what happens when it's here. When we've got 3 homes right now that are at $30,000 less, here's what's going to happen. We're going to get your home on the market, and either we're going to get no showings, very few showings, and now it's going to look like something's wrong. Like we're going back to those days. And what's going to happen is I'm going to request that in 2 weeks, we get you a price reduction to get you in this game. So the whole, let's try this for 2 weeks, some people are getting sucked into, but they're getting sucked into without some agreement that says in 2 weeks, we will do this now. And
so you're helping adjust their mindset of, or I guess you should say reconditioning their mind of where it was, right? Both on the sell side and the buy side, because as rates go up, right, the person that was interested in buying a 750,000 are no longer in the 750 range. So we need to recondition them to say, listen, right now, that's really not the situation. Rates have changed, right? You fall into that 500 price category. Yeah. So, you really have to recondition their mind and expectations, because, you've had 24, 36 months of it's very hard to buy, right? But when you do, you can buy a lot for a little. And the sellers were like, well, I'm going to just make a killing here.
Yes. But what you say and how you say it will make all the difference in the world.
Right.
Because the last thing you want them thinking on that initial appointment is, they're not even going to try for us. They're just saying it's not possible. We can't make it sound like we're working against them. We have to make it sound like we're working with them to get them the best, but they have to come around to understand by us showing them, let's take a look at this. And anytime there's an objection in there, like, why can't we try this? instead of saying, no, we won't get it, we have to say, you know what? Let's take a look at that scenario. Let's look at it. And together, you guys, we as agents now have to do a good job looking at the data of showing them why respectfully, this is very unlikely. Does that make sense? And getting the, that kind of does make sense. We got to get them to buy into that makes sense. And if we don't get them there, they're going to fish. Ooh, there was my microphone. They're going to fish, and we're going to get stuck in some trouble of now trying to get price reductions when they don't want to. And,
Right.
and if activity doesn't happen, whose fault is that going to be?
Mm-hmm.
Agent's fault. So it's properly setting the right expectations, getting them to truly understand, not just here's how it is, and getting their buy-in on understanding. And it's going to take a little work, but you got to have your numbers and know the right reasons to say those things.